The protein bar has evolved from a specialized product for bodybuilders, often shyly displayed at the checkout counter, to a mass-market snack favored by office workers, students, and tourists. Its fundamental idea is to provide a concentrated, convenient, and often balanced dose of nutrients, primarily protein, in a no-cook format. However, behind the simple packaging lies a complex nutritional structure, the result of food technology designed to achieve three goals: achieving high protein content, creating a pleasant texture and taste, and ensuring satiety. In this article, we'll break down the protein bar's components, explore its production process, and, most importantly, explain, based on physiological principles, why it can truly satisfy hunger and define its true place in the modern diet. A protein bar is a complex food construct where each ingredient plays a clear technological and functional role. It's not a random mixture, but the result of precision engineering aimed at achieving targets for protein content, taste, texture, and shelf life. The key element that determines a product's class is the protein matrix. It is created using various protein sources with different technological and nutritional properties. Whey protein, its concentrates, and isolates are the most common choice due to their high biological value, complete amino acid profile, and good solubility. However, it can impart a dry, chalky texture and a distinctive milky flavor. Casein, another milk protein, is digested more slowly, which could theoretically prolong satiety, but it is more difficult to process, often requiring a higher moisture content. Soy protein is an economical and effective plant-based alternative with a good amino acid profile. Pea, rice, and hemp proteins are also widely used in the plant-based product segment. Their main technological challenge is their often less pleasant, grainy, or gritty texture, and the need to mask the characteristic plant flavors. Protein powder itself lacks binding properties, so the basis of the bar's structure is formed by binding agents and plasticizers. Their function is to create a homogeneous, pliable mass that will hold its shape. Various syrups are most often used for this purpose. Brown rice syrup is a favorite in the health food category due to its natural appeal and ability to form a dense, crunchy texture when set. Date syrup or molasses act both as a binder and a sweetener with a distinctive flavor. High fructose corn syrup is still used in mass-produced, inexpensive products. These syrups are essentially concentrated sugar solutions that crystallize upon cooling, holding the entire mass together. Hydrocolloids, such as pectin, guar gum, and alginates, are used to impart viscosity, retain moisture, and create a chewy, soft texture. They allow you to reduce the amount of sugar required, but can produce a somewhat rubbery consistency. Adjusting the flavor profile is a separate task, as the protein base often has unpleasant overtones. To achieve this, a combination of sweeteners and flavor modifiers is used. In addition to sugars from syrups, sugar alcohols such as maltitol, erythritol, and isomalt are widely used. Their advantage is that they have a sweet taste, but are practically not absorbed in the small intestine, which helps reduce the calorie content and glycemic index of the product. However, an excess of them can cause bloating and indigestion. Intense sweeteners such as sucralose, stevioside, or aspartame are added to enhance sweetness without adding extra calories. Salt in small quantities is a critical flavor enhancer, masking off flavors and balancing excessive sweetness. Fat significantly contributes to the sensory experience and nutritional value of foods. Fats serve several functions. They coat the taste buds, imparting a rich, full-bodied flavor. They lubricate foods, making the texture softer and less dry. And they slow gastric emptying, which directly impacts satiety. Sources of fat include nuts and nut butters, seeds, added oils, and cocoa butter found in chocolate coatings. Coconut oil is popular due to its solid consistency at room temperature and stability. To enhance the product's functionality, particularly to prolong satiety and improve digestion, dietary fiber sources are added to the recipe. Most often, this is inulin, a prebiotic fiber from chicory that is highly soluble and slightly sweet. Oat fiber, bran, and apple pectin are also used. Fiber increases the product's volume without significantly increasing calories, promotes a slow release of energy, and serves as food for beneficial gut microflora. Flavoring fillers and enrichers complete the recipe. These can include dried fruit pieces, puffed cereals, cocoa powder, or cookie crumbs. Both natural essences and artificial flavors are used to impart a vibrant aroma. Vitamin and mineral premixes are added to meal replacement, or fortified products, to bring their profile closer to a balanced meal. Thus, a protein bar is a high-tech compromise between nutritional density, consumer qualities, and cost-effectiveness, where protein is the central, but by no means the only, active element in a complex food system. Next, I suggest we consider the process of transforming a mixture of dry powders, syrups, and fats into a finished bar with a specific texture, shape, and shelf life, which requires specific technologies. The choice of method directly impacts the final product's characteristics: its density, moisture content, crispness or softness, and shelf stability. The main industrial approaches are cold pressing, baking, and extrusion, often followed by coating. The most common method for producing high-density, low-moisture bars is cold pressing, or no-bake technology. This process involves no heat treatment of the main mass. First, all dry ingredients, protein powders, fiber, milk powder, flavorings, are thoroughly mixed in an industrial mixer until smooth. In a separate container, the liquid phase is prepared. Binding syrups, oils, and possibly melted chocolate or nut butter are melted and mixed. The liquid phase is then slowly poured into the dry phase with constant, vigorous stirring. The result is a very thick, viscous, and dense mass, similar to Play-Doh. This mass is fed in portions into a molding machine, where it is pressed under high pressure into briquettes or long sheets, which are then cut into individual bars. Pressure is key. It ensures particle cohesion and eliminates air pockets. After molding, the bars are placed in a refrigeration chamber to cool and harden the binding syrups. The main advantages of this method are the preservation of heat-sensitive nutrients, the elimination of the need for complex baking equipment, and the ability to create very dense, energy-dense products. The disadvantages include the relative difficulty of achieving a perfectly uniform distribution of ingredients and the risk of separation or crumbling if the recipe is improperly balanced. An alternative is traditional baking. In this case, the dough-like mass, which can be more fluid, is poured into molds and placed in a tunnel oven. Heat triggers several processes. Moisture partially evaporates, proteins denature, sugars caramelize, and starches, if present, gelatinize. This gives the bar a texture closer to confectionery. It can be more airy, porous, or crispy, reminiscent of granola or cookies. Baking technology makes it easier to incorporate oats and puffed cereals, creating a layered texture. However, heat treatment can negatively impact the biological activity of some proteins and vitamins. Extrusion is used to create bars with a special texture, very light, airy, or with a smooth, chewy texture. The raw material mixture is moistened and forced through the extruder's molding holes under high pressure and temperature. A brief thermal shock occurs in the extruder zone, which alters the structure of the proteins and carbohydrates. Upon exiting the die, the pressure drops sharply, causing some of the moisture to evaporate instantly and the mass to foam, creating a porous, crunchy texture. The resulting strands are then cut, dried, and often coated with a glaze. This method is highly productive and allows for the use of inexpensive raw materials, but it requires expensive equipment and is less suitable for recipes with high fat content, which can clog the extruder. The final, almost mandatory step for most candy bars is coating and glazing. Most often, the bar is coated with a layer of confectionery glaze made from cocoa powder, sugar, and vegetable fats, or less commonly, with real chocolate. Glazing serves several functions. It creates a barrier that protects the moist interior from drying out, or conversely, the crunchy base from becoming soggy. It enhances the taste, and it makes the product more appealing and comfortable to hold. The process is usually automated. The bars pass through a cascade of liquid glaze on a conveyor belt, then through a cold air tunnel to instantly harden the coating. After this, the product is individually packaged, often using modified atmosphere technology to extend its shelf life. Thus, the chosen production method determines not only the efficiency, but also the appearance of the bar, whether it will be a dense and filling brick, a crispy cookie, or a light and airy product, as well as how long it will retain its properties on the store shelf. The ability of a protein bar to suppress hunger for 2 to 3 hours isn't a marketing myth, but the result of several physiological mechanisms triggered by its specific composition. This satiation is a combined effect, in which the key role is played not simply by calories, but by the type of macronutrients, their interactions, and their impact on hormonal balance and gastrointestinal function. The central element is the high protein content. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. Its effect is realized through several pathways. First, protein digestion is an energy-consuming process known as the thermic effect of food. The body expends up to 20 to 30% of its calories on protein digestion, which in itself creates a sensation of internal work and energy expenditure. Second, amino acids, the breakdown products of protein, directly affect the hunger and satiety centers in the hypothalamus. They stimulate the production of satiety hormones, such as peptide, YY, and glucagon-like peptide 1, and suppress the production of ghrelin, the hunger hormone. This hormonal shift creates a persistent signal that nutritional needs are met. Third, protein foods help maintain stable blood glucose levels, preventing sharp spikes and subsequent drops that are usually accompanied by acute hunger pangs and cravings for fast carbohydrates. The second important component is dietary fiber, which is abundant in high-quality bars in the form of inulin, oat bran, or pea fiber. Fiber has the ability to absorb water, expanding its volume many times over in the stomach. This creates mechanical stretching of the stomach walls, which is directly registered by receptors and sends a signal of fullness to the brain. Furthermore, soluble fibers such as inulin form a viscous gel in the stomach, which slows the rate of gastric emptying and the movement of food through the intestines. This ensures a longer and smoother release of nutrients into the bloodstream, prolonging the feeling of satiety. Fiber also serves as a substrate for the colonic microbiota, and its fermentation products, short-chain fatty acids, have additional positive effects on metabolism and appetite regulation. The fat component of the bar, represented by nuts, seeds, or oils, contributes to satiety by slowing digestion. Fats, entering the duodenum, stimulate the production of the hormone cholecystokinin, which not only activates bile secretion for their emulsification, but also has a powerful suppressive effect on appetite and gastric motility, further extending the intervals between meals. The volume and texture of the product are also important factors. Even with a relatively small mass of 50-70 grams, a dense bar that requires active chewing promotes more mindful eating and provides the psychological sensation of a full snack, unlike a liquid shake. The act of chewing itself activates neural circuits associated with satiety. A critical aspect is the glycemic response. A quality protein bar, thanks to the optimal balance of protein, fiber, and healthy fats, as well as the use of sugar alcohols instead of pure sugar, should cause a minimal spike in blood glucose. This prevents the subsequent sharp insulin surge, which, by lowering blood sugar levels below baseline, triggers a new bout of hunger. A stable energy level without roller coaster is the key to prolonged satiety. Thus, the satiety effect of a protein bar is a synergistic one. Protein triggers the hormonal satiety system and requires energy for digestion. Fiber provides mechanical filling and slows digestion. Fats prolong this process, and the balanced composition maintains stable blood sugar levels. This makes it an effective tool for appetite control in situations where a full meal is impossible, but it's important to avoid uncontrolled snacking on unhealthy foods. However, this effect directly depends on the quality of the ingredients. A bar overloaded with simple sugars and low in fiber will cause the opposite reaction, triggering hunger within an hour of consumption. The modern protein bar market is a diverse mosaic, with products with radically different compositions and purposes sitting side by side on the same shelf. Understanding their classification and being able to analyze labels is the key to making an informed choice that meets real goals, not just the marketing promises on the packaging. All bars can be roughly divided into several categories based on their primary function. The first and most common are weight control and snack bars. Snack bars, or meal replacement bars. Their caloric content typically ranges from 150 to 250 calories. Key marketing emphasizes their high protein content, often 10-15 GRI, and fiber, 5 to 10 GRI, with a moderate amount of sugar. Their purpose is to quickly and sustainably satisfy hunger between meals, preventing spontaneous, unhealthy snacking. It is in this category that sugar alcohols and sweeteners are most often used to reduce overall caloric content and the glycemic index. The second category is energy and carbohydrate protein bars, energy bars, or recovery bars. These are marketed to athletes before, during, or after training. They are higher in calories, often 250 or 400 kilocalories, with an emphasis not only on protein, 15-25 grams, but also on carbohydrates, 30-50 GRI or more, which are designed to replenish glycogen stores. They can have a significant sugar content, as the rate of energy absorption is important. These products are typically lower in fat to avoid slowing digestion during physical activity. The third, more specific niche is high-protein bars for muscle gain. They are distinguished by their extreme protein content, reaching 30 to 40 grams per bar, with a total calorie content of 350 to 500 kilocalories. This is achieved through the use of concentrated protein matrices, often with a multi-layered structure. They can contain a mixture of fast and slow-release proteins and are designed to close the protein window or as a supplement to a hypercaloric diet. It's important to understand that marketing actively exploits the image of health and fitness. Labels like natural, gluten-free, sugar-free, fitness, paleo, and keto often serve as tools for market segmentation and justifying premium pricing, rather than guaranteeing health benefits. For example, sugar-free typically implies the use of sugar alcohols and sweeteners, which doesn't automatically make a product low-calorie or beneficial for the microbiome. Natural is an unregulated term that can mask the presence of naturally occurring, but highly refined, syrups and oils. To assess the true benefits, a critical analysis of the composition is necessary. First, look at the ratio of proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and calories. A bar with 20 grams of protein, but 30 grams of sugar and 400 kilocalories is more of a dessert than a dietary product. Second, it's important to study the ingredient list, which is listed in descending order of weight. If syrups, glucose, corn, and cane sugar, or hydrogenated oils are at the top of the list and protein is only in the middle, this indicates low product quality. Pay attention to the type of protein, the type of fiber, and the source of fat. The presence of large amounts of sugar alcohols can be a warning sign for those with sensitive digestion, but the real benefit of a protein bar lies in its functional convenience. It's an effective solution when time is tight, access to healthy food is limited, or precise control of protein or calorie intake is necessary. For athletes or travelers, it's a compact and reliable source of nutrients. However, it shouldn't become the foundation of a diet, displacing whole, minimally processed foods, meat, fish, eggs, cottage cheese, vegetables, and grains, which provide a wider range of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. A bar is a supplement, a quick fix, not a replacement. Regular consumption should be a balanced compromise between the nutritional benefits of its ingredients and the convenience of its format, rather than blindly following trends. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. See you soon.